Is it true? And number two, what happened? The doctor tells me, Shemegi, because it was her cousin, Shemegi, it is true.
Your wife's dead.
As we are talking, I'm looking at her here.
And she's dead.
She's dead. Where do I start from? Those are hard questions which
They're not easy.
may not be having
Tell me,
instant answers.
when you went to see the child, it must have been soon after that.
From there, I went to see the child.
Looking at the child, what went through your mind, giving the many years of waiting without a child, and of the patience and the understanding from you and your wife?
I looked at the child, I held him in my hands, and I asked God, why do you allow this innocent child to go through all this? I don't want to be to be rude, but
Either you are strong, sometimes you may not be normal and you think it is, you have a virtue of strength, when actually it's just that you...
It's a good question. It's a good question.
I hear, I don't know for a fact, but I hear, of course, this is an extreme, that you don't just have issues, then you walk into priesthood because you have issues. You must be a normal man, a normal woman to be a nun. For you, of course, you are normal in that sense, but in the sense in which I'm putting, there are men who are not really, they are not asexual.
Let me tell you, by the time we were getting our first child, and there's another story I tell you, we had even stopped going to see any guy or in Chinese or whatever. We were just living like just like that.
Like after how many years?
That was about after 8 years.
After 8 years, you gave up?
8 years.
You said you're not seeing anybody?
We are not seeing
You just
anybody.
lived your life?
And let me tell you, in the 10th year,
yes,
my wife conceived. We talked of 13, but in the 10th year, my wife conceived. She was not even aware that she was pregnant. She went into fasting because now, God, I've been praying about a child. My stomach has problems. Now there's something moving in my stomach. What is it? What is it again? And she was even fasting. Then after some tests, she was told, but you are pregnant. She could not even tell me. She came, she was crying. I got shocked. I was asking her, what is it? She tells me, see, I'm carrying a child. Because, remember, she could go for even 3-4 months without having a child. So it was a normal thing. She carried that pregnancy to full term, 9 months. When she went to give birth, it was a stillbirth.
Oh, God.
It was a stillbirth. It took us down. We were saying, God, you have done it for us. We thank you. You are faithful, God. Our prayers have finally been answered.
But then?
Stillbirth.
What did you go through when that happened? I don't want to talk about her because for her it must have been.
It was difficult. It was difficult. Unfortunately, she was in Mombasa. I was in Nairobi. And I rushed there. A big boy, big kid. We cried. For sure, I cried. And asked God, now why? Why? After giving me a hope. So this one was a false hope.
Full term.
Full term. He went, buried the child. He came back home and told her, you know what? Came back to Nairobi and told her, you know what? God has vindicated us. I've always learned to be positive. Those people who were claiming that I was impotent,
can now see.
Those people who were claiming that your uterus had been removed, will have
the answer was this.
This is the reason.
It may not have been.
That child was not meant to live. It was meant to come and vindicate us and ashame those people who are bad-mouthing us. That's how far faith can take you. And that's when I started realizing that, that thing which was hopeful for, it has now come. Even if now that pastor comes again to say, all the fathers stand up, I will stand up with all the confidence. Because I have fathered a child. But it never lived to see the light of the day.
Some children.
Yes. So I'm saying it may be difficult for people to understand and accept that you cannot, within 13, 15, even 20 years without a child and you still be faithful. It's always good to remain faithful. If your faith, if you are a Christian, go as you took a vow. You took a vow.
And your love gives you the strength.
Yes. And if it is genuine love.
Now tell us.
Yes.
That unfortunate has happened. You start counting the years again.
I remember my friend told me, under those circumstances, if your wife conceives in that manner, you try it again, you'll definitely get a child. That was okay. I didn't say 10 years, so it was 2010. Let's say it was in 2010 when we got that one. Yes. So I was told, if you go back and try again, you will immediately get one. Yes. That immediately was 5 years. Oh. After the 5 years now, again she conceived. Now she said, now let's not tell people. Because we may start telling people and the same case happens again.
Let's just
don't tell anybody, let's just remain like this.
And pray.
But of course, it was difficult because some people are saying, what is this and what is that? What is that kind of a thing. So we went on like that and by good luck, she conceived safely a baby girl. And we said, thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Lord.
At last.
At last.
At last.
What was it like in the house?
We were so happy, but of course with mixed feelings, saying that, well, maybe, she was a bit apprehensive. Oh, maybe this, maybe that. We said, no. This is our child. And we named her Zemira, meaning joyous melody. She has given us a joyous melody, Zemira. We can now start celebrating that at least we have a child right now. Remember this time, taking back a bit, you asked me about the personality of my wife. Yes. When I was working and I had reached 21 years in employment, I decided to leave employment to go for my own business. But I said before then, because I believe God is going to give us some children, I want to empower you. So I took her to Kenyatta University. She was a teacher, a P1 teacher, to upgrade her to get a degree. And she got a degree.
At that time, you don't have a degree?
I don't. The only certificate I have is a marriage certificate. And the Form 6 certificate. Yeah. I don't have anything. So she went there. She did very well. Then she came back saying...
Look here, stop. Here is a woman you are married to. She's a primary school teacher.
Yes.
She hasn't given you a child. You yourself don't have a degree.
No.
But you are taking her for a degree.
Yes.
What was wrong with you?
And you can imagine exactly the same things I had from other people. I come from the coast. And people from coast wana maneno ile. Unasomesha mke wako utakuja kuachwa mataani wewe. Utakuja kuachwa mataani wewe bwana.
Kwanza ni mke hamna hata mtoto na.
Amesoma kukushinda. I told them nonsense. I'm building my future. I told my wife, you are my investment. I'm working. I'm a manager where I'm working. I have a scheme for educating my children, but because I don't have one, I want to spend that money which I would have educated my children to educate you. So that when God gives us children and the business I'm getting into does not flourish as I expected, you will take care of your children. Now, when you leave me, you will leave me, but you will not leave your children.
So here we are. God is great. God is faithful. You have had one child. Tell us, second child on the way?
Now, God has given us a child and we are swimming in joy, thanking God for whatever has done for us. She comes up and says, I've gotten a scholarship to go and start to do masters in Tanzania through the Aga Khan Foundation. What do you say? Because after she had completed her degree, she wanted to continue for a master's. Then I told her, no. I think now where you have reached, I think it's okay now. If you have money, continue. But I think let me also start.
Let me also start.
So that at least we are somewhere there.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's how we came to meet. How I came to meet you. Okay. I started my course. Before I finish, that's 2017. She gets a scholarship and said, now since this is a scholarship, partially paid, and a reasonable figure, said no, you go for this one. So
and she has a child.
So allowed her. She has a child. So we decide now where do we leave this child, because I'm all alone here in Nairobi. And by that time, she had gotten transfer to Kilifi. She was teaching in Kilifi. And we decided because of this devolution thing, we thought maybe their openings would come up there. And we also wanted to start up preparing for retirement, kind of. So we have a home here and we have a home in Kilifi. So we agreed that she should go there so that I'd be going and come back. I set a foundation. When it is okay, then I could also move. So she gets that scholarship and we agree, and it's being done in Tanzania. I took her to Tanzania. Again, the same cries. You are getting your wife, all these other things. Mm-hmm. I tell her, okay, fine. I'm doing it for posterity.
Yes.
God has given us children. No, I was given as a child at least. And this is exactly what I was saying, that something was telling me there's something good which was coming. So I told her that you go, so that if my business doesn't do well, and at least you have a pay slip, then I'm rest assured that my children will go to school. Yes. If you leave me, because she had also heard about that people are saying, people are saying you don't educate me, I'll run away from you. So I tell her, okay, fine.
If it came to that.
Yeah, so if you run away from me, yes, it's okay. You will run with your children. For me, I'll know how to survive. After all, you have given me a very big
But that's just said in jest.
Yeah, of course. So we go to Tanzania. I let her start studying there. She goes on in the course. Then 3-4 months down the line, she calls me. She says, you know what? I think I'm carrying another baby.
Oh God!
I said, wow! Now. When it starts raining, it pours.
Yes.
We said, thank God.
Mvua ni mzuri.
Yes, ni mzuri.
Hata hakuna haja kukimbia kwa nyumba.
We've been waiting for these things. Okay, so what happened? Said, okay, I'm having a 1-week break. I'll have to come, but they've said that I'll be coming. How are you coming? She said, I'll have to fly because in this condition, I've talked to the airline people, they said that it's okay, I can fly. So she flew back here for 1 week. We stayed together. So the child, then after that 1 week, she went back to
Tanzania.
She went back. Then when she got there, she was asked now that you have to fill in the papers now. Where would you wish to deliver, here or in Kenya? She said, no, I want to go back home. I want to go back home because in case of any complications, who will help me here? So I was told at the right time. I was told, now you better come because we cannot allow her to go alone. So someone must pick you. So
you went to Tanzania.
So I went to Tanzania. I picked her.
You flew back to Kenya.
We flew back to Kenya. Again, she said she wanted to deliver near her mother. Ladies, they would always have their own. She said, okay, fine. It's okay.
So you left her and came back to Nairobi?
So I left her, I came back to Nairobi. Then she called me. She told me, I've gone to the hospital and I went for a clinic and my gyne has told me that the child is not moving and he needs to do a very, very fast CS section. So now what do we do? Actually, the doctor said, I'm not going to release you. The way things work. Do you know, this gynecologist is the first one whom we went to see when she told me that she has a problem with hormonal imbalances. Yes. The first one, he was in Nairobi. 13 years down the line, for 15 years down the line, he'd gone to Coast. And who is my best choice, our best choice of guy? We went to him. So he said, no, this is a precious baby. Remember the first one you lost the first child because of that.
Yes.
So this time I can't. She was even detained.
She know you can't go back home.
She cannot go back home. She had gone there, would not even with her lesson, But she said this is emergency. So she was taken to emergency. I don't know if we signed for her. Then sometimes doctor calls me, said, congratulations, you have a baby boy. Wow. I said, wow, this is good news. Remember that weekend I was supposed to have an event, a very good event which I was supposed to MC, but I told them, I'm sorry, I've got this good news, but I've got better news. My wife has just delivered, and I don't think I can, as a responsible father. And they understood me because they knew my story. So I went there, I saw her. So the doctor came, we discussed. Then he asked her in my presence, I've done my job. Is there anything you are feeling that would make you think that you can stay here for more than 1-2 days? She says, I'm feeling okay. Maybe just a few of medication here and there. Said, if you're okay, I can release you. So she was released after 2 days. I took a taxi. I took her to
the house.
I took her home to my mother-in-law. So I was there for about 2-3 days. Then I said now, but again she had now some complications. She didn't have enough milk within herself. So we were given a formula to go and buy. Unfortunately, it was not there in Malindi. It was not there in Mombasa. I tried to call a friend in Nairobi, tell me I'm looking for it. But in the meantime, I was advised now we better use naan because if he doesn't have milk, then we have to start on another something else because the kid cannot stay like that. So I came to Nairobi looking for that formula. Went around, and then I remember it was on a Monday when I had been promised, but it didn't materialize. So on a Monday at around 10:30 thereabout p.m. she calls me and tells me, I'm not feeling well. My heart is aching. I said, the heart? Since when? I said, yeah, I've just started feeling like, a few minutes ago. So what have you done now? I said, I've come to a clinic for observation. So I told her, do you have your NHIF card? She said, yes. So I told her, okay, fine. After that, let it be the first aid, but tomorrow you must go to the district hospital, at least, or any other big hospital where you can really be put under examination. So we left it at that. Remember, this is the 8th day. I was in Nairobi, all alone. I slept. Midnight, my mother-in-law calls me. Oh, before then, I asked her, so what has happened? I said, where have you left the child? Who have you left the child with? I said, I left the child with my mom. She actually walked
to the hospital.
To the hospital. So at midnight, my mother-in-law calls me. Look at this. What is it now? Unfortunately, I don't put off my phone.
Midnight, the phone.
Midnight.
Rings.
The phone rings.
Your mother-in-law.
My mother-in-law. I pick it.
The one where your wife was staying with the mother.
Yes.
Hi,
Dad. Hi, Mom. How are you? Oh, fine. Hey. My wife was called Carol. She said in Kiswahili, Carol, ametuacha.
What?
So for me, I thought maybe she's informing me for information which I already know. To me, I interpreted that ametuacha as in, because she had told me she had gone to the hospital. So I thought she was telling me ameenda hospitali. But then she was saying now, lamenting. Now, you've left me with this small child. What do I do now? I asked her, excuse me, Mom, what are you saying? She says, Carol is no more.
What?
I got into a trance.
8 days after giving birth to the second child.
8 days.
Children you had looked for 13 years.
It was hard. I said...
You said you were alone in the house?
All alone.
In Nairobi?
In Nairobi. And I said, let me just lie down. Then I'll know what to do tomorrow. I lied down. But then something asked me, what has she said? It's now sinking. The reality is now sinking.
That your wife could be dead.
I called her again. Fortunately, it was picked by the doctor. So I asked the doctor, tell me two things. Number one, is it true? And number two, what happened? The doctor tells me, Shemegi, because it was her cousin, Shemegi, it is true.
Your wife's dead.
As we are talking, I'm looking at her here.
And she's dead.
She is dead. What happened? Tells me she came here, and when she reached here, I had already left. As she saw my stuff, then she said, I'm not going to be handled by anybody. I want my cousin to come and treat me.
So she rushed.
So he was called. When he was called, I said, there must be an emergency. He came. And came, oh, you've come? He said, yes, I've come. Okay. Then let me want somewhere to lie down so that I rest, then we start the medication. And she was put on the observation bed. On lying there, she says, cousin.
No, that's the doctor.
My wife.
She's telling the doctor.
The doctor. Here is my phone. Take care of my children. And that's all. Now, is the doctor telling me? So that is what happened. Just like that. I said, yes. It was so devastating. So what do? I called my brother, eldest brother, told him, could not believe it. My other brother, then I called my pastor. My pastor had gone for a retreat in Mombasa. I got him. Then I called my best man. Could not go through. I called the best lady. It got through. And I told her the news. We were very, very close with our best couple. Oh, it was crying all over. Now the reality dawned on me. So when I called the people from the church, calls started coming all over, everyone calling. So it was just a call after call, a call after call. At around 3 a.m., people from church came there. We prayed. The morning, they told me, okay, now, you've told us that, you've told us all that. Now, what do you want to do? I told them, well, I'm waiting for tomorrow to go home. Said, how are you intending to go? Said, by that time, this SGR had just started. Said, I thought of getting SGR, but I was told there you have to book 3 days before, so I can't. I'll have to travel by bus. Then a friend said, no, you cannot. And how long will it take you? I said, well, if I get there early, maybe around 6, Malindi. Said, no way. You cannot travel by road. So, but you know, as we were talking, some calls come. I said, excuse me. I talk. Then I was told, okay, fine, now it is 6. We have gotten you an air ticket. Go to the airport. Go home. Prepare yourself. I was wondering, now what do I take? What did I take? I don't know. So I just prepared myself. My friend was there. They rushed me to the airport. I got into the airport. On reaching Mombasa, I found my pastor was also waiting for me there. The van, they took me all the way to Malindi, to the mortuary. Reaching there, it was full. People are waiting for me. I went. I saw her. She was asleep. Very, very beautiful. More than she was when she was alive. I don't know why. I looked at her. I cried.
Have you seen the child then?
No. The child has been left at her mother's place. So I was told, okay, fine, we're waiting for you to come. Give us the next course of action. I said, I want a postmortem. How much does it cost? Also, it's around, I don't know, 7,000 or something like that. So, okay, you relax. Started contributing there. Go the 7,000. Mortician was asked to go and carry out. I was asked if I would go and witness. I said I could not go. My sister went, my cousin went, and some other people went. It was done. Doctor comes out, says, yeah, your wife has died of a massive heart attack.
Massive
Heart attack.
Did she have signs of that?
Never ever. Never ever.
Was she obese, overweight?
Actually, she was growing even thin. I mean, if it was overweight, it was because of the child. So, he said, this condition, it looks like there was some other parts of the heart where blood was not getting there. It was kind of oozing. I don't know how. My sister was telling me that they managed to scoop from the heart black blood which had accumulated there for some time. Said, this is the report. This is my signature. If you want a second opinion, you can, but that's what I've done. Said, it's okay. So we started arrangement of burials now. Now my next question was this. God, I prayed for a child.
You gave me a child.
You not only gave me a child, you gave me children. I left employment because I wanted to engage myself into business, and my safety net was my wife, because at least she had a pay slip.
And now you've taken her.
Now, you've taken the person with the pay slip. You've left me with an 8 days old boy. What do I do? Where do I start from? Those are hard questions which
They're not easy.
may not be having
Tell me,
instant answers.
when you went to see the child, it must have been soon after that.
From there, I went to see the child.
Looking at the child, what went through your mind, giving the many years of waiting without a child, and of the patience and the understanding from you and your wife?
I looked at the child, I held him in my hands, and I asked God, why do you allow this innocent child to go through all this?
Without a mother at this age?
Without a mother at this age. 8 days? Is this how people are widowed? So I'm now a widower? After struggling for all that time? It was not making sense at all, at all, at all.
But the child could not have been the cause of the misfortune.
The doctor said
It's possible.
we were very lucky that that condition did not happen when she was still pregnant.
It could have been worse. Both of them could have gone.
Both of them would have gone. Both of them would have gone. So that clinic she went is the one which solved everything else, because the next thing was it would have now affected her and
The child.
he said it's a condition which would have started even when she was a teenage. It's a very, very slow. That's why we hear that the heart disease is a silent killer. You know. So he said, I'm not going to follow it anymore, because even if I do, of what significance would it do? So I composed myself and I called my best lady. And this is where I want even the youth, the young men, to understand that when it comes to, especially if you are doing a church wedding and you need the best couple, it's very, very important to get a mature person, somebody who can stand with you. This is how it came to my senses. Mark you, my best man is a Luya. The wife is a Luo. I am a Giriama.
Yes.
And they accepted to take my children for 1 year. So I called her and told her, please come so that you can stay with my children until we bury.
For 1 year.
That time I told her to come. So she came. When she came, unfortunately, my wife's sister, young sister,
Yes.
my wife died in June.
Yes.
My wife's young sister's husband had died in March.
Much.
He was a soldier. He died in a road accident. So she told me, Shemegi, if you could help us. I'm still hurting. I'm still mourning. I can take care of this big girl, but the young one, I don't. If your best lady can help us. So I told her that actually we have discussed with the best lady, and we shall go with the children,
Both.
both of them. And this is what I was saying. You get, I can say that was divine connection, but if you are in your senses, don't just take somebody because just a friend.
A formality.
A
You
formality.
need somebody to be
You
a
need
best
somebody.
man.
It matters a lot, and I really give great thank to God and credit to that family, the Kulundus.
They took care of your children for 1 year.
Yes. So after the burial, my wife's relatives wanted to remain with the children because they were saying, okay, now this is a man, he cannot take care of these kids alone. If he has to take care of kids, he has to get a house help. Now, who is that house help? Or a relative who will stay with them, and we cannot go and stay with them. Rather, let's stay with the children. And it was a big issue within me and my mother-in-law. And I told her, Mom, I've made arrangements with my best lady, or my best couple.
They'll do this.
They are going to take care of my children because I also want to be a parent. Remember, you parented your children.
Give me a chance.
Give me a chance. I know you love your grandchildren. But
for you, it's even more because you had looked for children for 13 years.
Yes.
Without a single child.
Yes. So because it was giving, I had only two options. I either relocate from Nairobi, I go and stay with my children because I could not afford to be waiting to be told your children are unwell. Then I send money or I rush there. I could not.
So this couple, was it in Nairobi?
This couple was in Nairobi.
Also, it was much easier for you to connect with the children.
To connect with the children.
Now tell us, after this 1 year, you took the children?
Yes.
Stayed with them yourself?
What we did was that I used to go there, stay with them for 2-3 days, then I come back to my place.
So they would know you completely.
So at least with the boy.
Bonding and
yes, that bonding. The girl knew me, but the boy was not, didn't know me, of course, was very young. So when it was time for me to take them, before then, I brought in a house help who happens to be my sister-in-law, a relative of my wife, who was with the boy when he was born. Because remember, when the mother died, he was left alone. Everyone was, it was mere luck.
I know.
She went there, she found the kid, and didn't even know where to get the milk from, where to start from. But at least she babysat him. So I told her, you come. So that
I'm bringing the kids to stay with me.
So that they know you, so that when we move to my place, at least they'll have somebody whom they know. So she came for 1 month. So I would go there one weekend, I would bring them to my place, I would spend the whole day, then I take them back. Then I go, then again I take them, they come, they sleep, and then they go.
So finally now you brought them.
The older one was saying, oh, huku ni kwetu, kule ni home. This is utawala. So when I go to take her, she says, Daddy, tunaenda kwetu. I said, yes. Then when you say they say, Dad, we want to go home. I said, okay, I'll take you home. So I took them there. So they got used to that. At least they knew. So when I went to tell them, now, Mom, tunaenda kwetu. Yes, tunaenda kwetu. They came. I thought I was very much worried the first night. I thought they were going to cry, but they didn't because they had that girl. They stayed there together. And we started slowly staying together with them until they got used. Again, here's when again I also attribute all these things to God. Before then, there was a lady who used to come to wash our clothes and clean our house. And because of my travel here and there, my house was I built some perimeter wall, and some boys would jump over the wall and steal from me small things. So I asked her. That lady was single. She had been divorced but I knew her, and she had 2 children. I told her, please, you come, stay here. You will not even pay. I just want somebody's presence here.
Yes.
Because these boys will one day do me harm. Because since they're coming in the afternoon, they're only taking small things. But if they come, they decide now, they know this person is not here. So that lady came. And it became handy now. Because remember, when she came, I had this house help and that lady staying with the children.
Okay, so now it's like
So when it came,
family kind of.
yes, so at least they could see with her children now, it was a home setup.
You've now picked your children. Of course, you've been a widower. But now the really thing is here with you. Little children. I think one of them hardly a year or thereabouts. Tell us about life as a widower. Beginning with children. Such a young children, and you are a man. Yes.
It's a very, very difficult journey to walk through. Very difficult journey because you are the father and the mother same time. I don't have any experience of bringing up children. If they are sick, I have to see how to go about it. Then some pressure from friends that now I think you should get married.
Now tell us more about that.
That
As a widower.
because now you have small children.
But before people ask you, before the pressure begins to come from outside, how about from within? The dialogue you have with yourself. Did such a questions cross your mind that here I am, my dear wife has died, I have these children, I could get another human being to live with?
After soul searching and getting so many questions, of course asking so many questions,
Yes.
this is how I looked at the whole issue.
Okay.
That, yes, I stayed for 13 years without getting children. Now I've gotten children after...
Those 13 years.
Yes, those 13 years.
And some tragedy in between.
Yes, and now I've been left all alone with these children. And on my own, I cannot bring them up just like that. They need a mother figure. I also need somebody to console me. But then, what came into my mind very, very prominently is that, look, my priority is these children. I need them to have a good life. I need to give them the best that I can give under the circumstances.
What would a woman, specifically a wife, prevent you from giving them the best?
Sorry?
If you brought a wife into your life, would she stand between you and the best for your children?
That is what was going on in my mind, and I was weighing at all those options.
Yes.
With the background of the stories of those people, the so-called Mama Wakambo.
Yes.
All the bad stories that we've heard about them. That getting in a woman who will come may not understand your story, where you are coming from, and she starts again frustrating your children. That one to me took me off immediately from
Could we be correct if we said you are being sort of defending the children, ring fencing them,
yes,
wanting to do the best for them?
Yes.
Could it be born out of the experience you went through, that these are children who came after 13 years of waiting, of patience, of persevering, of even insults? Could that have contributed to the decision you arrived at?
Partly yes, knowing that I had stayed for long without getting children.
Yes.
Now that I've gotten them,
Yes.
and my wife has left them, I had that notion that in as much as she didn't want, she did not choose to go, she may be watching me and see how I'm taking care of them. and asking me, is that what you can do to our children after all that long? So that thing was also ringing in my mind. And what came in my mind was this. The children are here. They need to be taken care of by a mother figure. I bring in somebody who may not understand the story behind them, or who may not take that one into cognizance, and she starts frustrating them over my dead body. Then I ask myself, if I marry because maybe I want a partner to console me, I have the right, I can make those decisions.
Yes.
But my children cannot make such a decision. But the decisions that I make will definitely affect them, either positively or negatively. Now, between the need of me and the human needs
and your children
and my children,
these children you got after a long
needs
time.
for my children superseded my personal needs, and I said, I don't. Let me take all my time. I want to see them, at least to a point where I may be able to leave. Then they come and tell me, Daddy, these people have said this. Daddy,
so
this one have said this one.
Us.
At least I'll be able now to gauge it, because I know now, at that level, where they can talk to me. That would be a place where I would say, now I can think about myself. But at the moment, the priority is about the children.
So what advice do you give to people who lose their spouses when they have young children?
Different.
Your story
Yes.
is tied to the 13 years of marriage without a child.
Yes.
Not every widow or widower would be having that kind of story. So if you are talking about the normal circumstances, normal people who did not have a childlessness problem, they just got children from the day one, but they find themselves widows or widowers at an early stage. What do you tell them?
Different circumstances call for different solutions.
Correct.
My case is unique, and other people may have a unique situation.
Yes.
But the common factor here one needs to understand is that before you move from one relationship to another one,
yes,
and especially coming from a traumatic situation like mine,
yes,
you need to go through a process where you feel that you have healed.
You treat carefully.
Very, very carefully. Because, and many people would think so, that the moment you have lost your wife, the solution is to get married immediately. And this is the kind of advices we've been getting. No, you need to get married immediately,
even to go over it.
So that these children may come and know that treat her as their mother as they grow up, all those kind of things. But I'm saying not every situation calls for that. Because if, as I said, different situations call for different approach. If you are staying, let's say, at home and there are people who can take care of the children, or if you are
just know what's going on,
a situation where there's nobody who can take care of those children, then the wife would become a very big priority and a very first one. But I urge people to take their time to heal first, because you see, you are still wounded. The moment you move into another relationship,
they could even wound you,
and you have not even healed, you have not even healed, the chances are very high that you are going to pour your frustrations to that person who is coming in anew. He doesn't know what you've gone through, and she thinks that she can come and replace that wife you have getting married. No one can replace your wife. She only comes to complement. And for that person has also to go through thorough counseling to know how to handle such kind of person
who has gone through.
Yes, somebody who has gone through such kind of a thing. Because you are normally very, very fragile. Something small, you just reflect. I mean, somebody you stayed for 15 years, and someone cannot just come and say, well, I don't want these sheets. These sheets remind you of your. I want remove that photograph. I don't want. You need even removing your ring takes time. Because there's that attachment. This person is part has
And they
been
may
part
not
of you.
understand.
They may not understand.
So the bottom line, therefore, is whatever your needs, whatever your situation, if you find yourself having lost a spouse, take time. That time is not constant.
Yes.
It's not general. It is not specific. But within your own context, take your time.
Yes.
You need healing.
Yes.
The person coming may not understand what you are going through.
Yes.
Should I also therefore believe that things that you could stand from a spouse, a wife you married, maybe you are a divorcee, maybe you took late before you married, things you could do or say and you could feel bad but live with them could be very difficult to a widow or a widow.
Very difficult.
Things other people who are not widowers, maybe just divorcees, or can stand, for you it can be difficult.
Very, very difficult.
Who could remind you of things.
It's the most unfortunate thing is that it's something that you learn when you get there. You learn when you get there. You cannot anticipate. You can't imagine.
You can't read it in a book.
No. We've done them in counseling, loss and grief, which I do.
Yes.
But this time round, based on my experience, it's real. So I cannot say that I know what that person is going through, but I have an idea of what that person is going through.
Yes.
You see, sometimes you become very temperamental. Sometimes a small thing ignites and brings in the memories. And this person here thinks that, especially if she comes into your life, or maybe you are, maybe you are marrying a widow.
Yes.
Let me not be too. And she's not yet through with her ex or the late husband. There'll be always some elements of comparison. Things are not like these. Things are supposed to be like. It's a whole different.
In my place, where people used to inherit women, they say one of the biggest challenges of inheriting a woman whose husband has died, of course, is occasionally she can even go to the grave and begin talking to the husband.
Yes.
And saying, I didn't know you leave me
Yes.
to get into this I'm going through.
Yes.
You know, she's addressing you now.
Yes.
The inheritor. That if Samson was here, I wouldn't be going through this.
Exactly.
So that's the sort of thing you're talking
That's
about.
very delicate. Yes.
Because that's now dramatized, but
Now,
basically it happens.
Now, this person who is inheriting that person should be able to understand, to be equipped to understand that it is okay for her to feel like that.
Now, you said you are an ordained priest.
Yes.
Anglican.
Yes.
You said you also do public speaking.
Yes.
You said you are a trained counselor.
Counselor, yes.
You've done counseling psychology.
Yes.
To some level. Are you the sort of person, people listening to you, if they know people who have issues of this nature, are you the sort of person they can come for and meet somebody who they can confide in, talk to, get both personal experience and the training you have had to help them cope?
To a great extent, yes. I cannot prescribe as a doctor who will tell you take this one 2-3 times a day and tomorrow after this you come, and But it's a journey that I have walked. And 5 years down the line, and I can identify, I can resonate, and I become a source of hope. I'm not saying that I'll be able to get them out of grief, but sharing my personal experiences
and helping them to
see,
go through,
to navigate the journey.
Is it okay with you? Ask my director to put your number down there.
Absolutely.
If there's somebody who feels they need somebody to talk to, you can give them an ear.
Absolutely.
Both using your experience, like I've said, and your training. So I'll ask the director to do the line, and you who is watching this, because this is really life story. This is not stuff we are making up. This is really story. If you feel you want to talk to him, the line will be down there. Call him. You may benefit somehow. So tell me again about widower. I have heard many stories. I have seen others. Where I come from in the village, people say when you see a widower with a lasso approaching a shop, and then that shop is about to close. Now you are a widower.
Yes.
Do you also get challenges of women seeing you as low-hanging fruits now that you don't have a wife? And do you go through those?
Prof, it's a reality of life.
Yes.
And it's difficult, but you can also understand
Yes.
that even when you are still mourning, some people see it as an opportunity.
You are in mourning.
While you are still mourning, I remember the night before we buried my wife, some two friends, my wife's friends,
Women.
were almost fighting because they thought that I was giving them more attention than the other one I was giving them, you know. So it's sad, but it's a reality. People would always see an opportunity. And of course, I'm handsome, Prof. How do you see?
Yeah.
Yes. So these things you expect. These things are there.
How do you manage them yourself?
I'll talk about my personal experience. My personal experience was that at that time, my focus was my children, my children, my children.
So that sort of gave you some kind of cover.
Strength.
Some kind of course, strength.
Yes.
Strength alone is not enough because you need some protection, some shield.
Yes. Because you see, unless you are principled, even when we are still married,
Yes.
you may be tempted. You will be definitely be tempted.
By the way, throughout the 13 years without a child,
Yes.
are you telling me you never got tempted? Not just as ordinary men will be tempted, but as a man who has lived with a wife for many years, not 1, not 3, not 4, not 5, without a child. You never got into the temptation. I've asked this question. I want to ask it again.
There is another motivational speaker who really inspires me. He says, what you focus on, it becomes real.
What you focus on
It becomes real.
becomes real.
In this sense, if I tell you that this shoe is black,
Yes.
and I keep on repeating that it's black,
Yes.
it will be black.
It will be black.
In my mind, it will be black.
Yes.
You'll see it in another color you want,
Yes.
but that's exactly what it means.
Yes.
It's all in your mind. Yes, people would come. Some thoughts would come. But again, as a believer, temptations are there not for you to be tempted, but for you to overcome them. For you to overcome them.
And throughout those
If
years,
you really-
were able to overcome, if anything came your way.
Leave alone that time when we were looking for a child. Even for the last 5 years that my
As a
wife
widower.
went as a widow.
Free.
Where now I can do anything, because even the Bible allows, even the laws of the country allow that now I'm free.
Okay. You still manage to.
My focus has been the children.
Are you normal? Are you a normal human being?
I don't want to be to be rude, but
Either you are strong, sometimes you may not be normal and you think it is you have a virtue of strength when actually it's just that you.
it's a good question. It's a good question.
I hear, I don't know for a fact, but I hear, of course, this is an extreme, that you don't just have issues, then you walk into priesthood because you have issues. You must be a normal man, a normal woman to be a nun. For you, of course, you are normal in that sense, but in the sense in which I'm putting, there are men who are not really, they are not asexual. In other words, they are normal men. They can have a normal relationship with a woman. They can sire children. And they do, but matters of flesh, matters of women, we have friends of that nature, really. It's like they relate with the wife as a matter of duty, So if you say up to these 5 years, is it because you are that type of man, or it is because of your faith and your strength and your children?
I don't want to take the pride that I'm very strong. I'm
Yes.
very strong. All that I can say is that I know some people, even men of God, who lose their wives and within 1 year they're already married.
How do you, how do you,
They're already,
we know there are circumstances, and we talked about the circumstances.
yes, yes.
I was trying to remember a Shakespeare book, I've forgotten, Prince of Denmark. What is this book? I've forgotten, this play by Shakespeare. What will be you are thinking if you see a man whose wife, who loses his wife in January, and the next Christmas of the same year he has married? What would be your general observation?
I don't want to cast my own aspersions about the whole thing, but most cases, in most such kind of marriages,
Yes.
very few would last long. Very few would last long.
They're remarrying so soon after the death of a spouse.
Remarrying immediately after the death of a spouse. The percentages of such marriages staying for long is are very, 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 very minimal. For this reason, this person has not yet healed. You know, this person has not yet healed.
Yes.
There are issues that they must be dealing with,
Yes.
and unless you really understand and you know,
Yes.
the chances are very high that you will carry the baggage you've had before in your previous marriage into the next marriage. And no marriages can be the same. No women will be the same. This one will be good in this particular way. This one will be good in this particular way. It's bad in this particular way. This one is good. I'm not saying that remarrying.
So you need to stay long enough, to heal enough, to be able to deal with the one you are bringing into your life without necessarily using the previous one as a yardstick.
Exactly, and that's what needs. You need to carry out an intrinsic search and within yourself first.
Yes.
That is only when you can be able to admit somebody else into your life.
You are
Otherwise, if you have issues with the past and you drag them into the next marriage, they will not last, because that one will not be able to understand.
Now, you've gone through a lot. First, as a husband, 13 years without a child. Secondly, for the last 5 years or so, a widower, left children, young children. One, the last born died. The last born was 8 years, 8 months, 8 days.
8 days.
When the mother died. What did you tell the viewer who is listening to you and has been in marriage a couple of years and has no child, or a man who has lost his wife, especially when they still have young children? What will you tell them?
Well, I would tell them that it can be devastating, but life has to continue, and this is more so for men.
Yes.
It's very hard for men to come out and express themselves what they go through in life, and they end up hurting, and the rates of suicides, mental health cases arising because of bottling up with these issues. I have come out as an example that yes, we go through this. And especially those people who are called men of the clothes, or maybe believers, who may always tend to think that once you are born again, then your life will have to go a straight life. No, it happens to us, even us.
So faith may not be enough.
It may not be enough. But over and above that one, you just need to stand firm and talk it out. And what I'm offering my audience is that if you have such kind of a case, I'm not again promising that you will be healed, but I can walk with you. I can walk with you, given what I have also gone through. But people need to come out. Let people not force these issues of children, that after 2-3 years you must get a child or else you know this. It is very, very wrong.
Yes.
Again, all those people who may not know should also need to be very, very sensitive when they are talking, especially in the public. We hear we go into a gathering and people will say, my name is so and so, or Mama so and so. My name is Mama so and so, and you talk about your husband. You don't know even your children there. Some of those people who are attending there, some of them do not have children, and they're asking themselves, when it comes to my time, who will I say I am? Because everyone here is like, I'm Mama so and so, I'm Mama so and so. It's very good to be sensitive. When you're introducing yourself, just introduce yourself and leave it there. And until and unless you are very much sure of the circle you are walking around with. It is very, very important to be sensitive. Otherwise, you may say it, in a light touch, but it may end up hurting someone so much. But it's good to come out because these things happen and we have to live with them.
So many people could reach out to you because this story is a story that makes people, that affects people, they will touch people. I hope when they reach to you, don't say the numbers are too many, the calls are too many, because that one call you take could save a family. Like I was saying, somebody 2-3 months, 2 years without a child and they are giving up. Like you said, there are those who will chase their wives from their marriage. They haven't even checked themselves. They don't know whether it is they who have a problem. And they also don't know whether the child is coming the following year. So we wish you the best. And to our viewers, if you want to reach out to our guest, the number is down there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening to us. And please do subscribe, those who have not subscribed to this channel, and ask others to subscribe. Again, if you know of a person who has a personal story, personal testimony, because the aim of this channel is to start a conversation that will help that person who was going to break their marriage, that person who was giving up on account of something. They may hang in there and save their marriage. So if you know of a person with a personal story, please do not hesitate to reach us. Thank you very much.
Let's get together and feel alright. Hear the children